Welcome to a new episode of Baking with Caroline and her mom, featuring Caroline's dad.
Hi. Hi.
I'm on vacation, and it was my birthday yesterday. So Dad's going to show us how to make hamburger buns. Apparently the best hamburger buns. So because it's my birthday week, Dad's going to take the reins and do the baking, and I'm going to do the filming. And then we're going to be taking a break from Baking with Caroline and her mom for about 3 weeks. So we'll start up again in September. All right, Dad, let's do this.
Okay. So this hamburger bun recipe is really nice. It's from King Arthur flour. I've made it several times, and it's really easy because I'm going to make it all in the food processor.
Yay!
We start off with the food processor.
And then you can decide what size they are, right?
But yes.
So it solves the problem of your hamburger buns being too big for your hamburgers.
Yes. So the recipe calls for 3.5 cups, 418 grams of all-purpose flour.
Ooh.
Now I'm actually using flour from the local flour mill, which is Arvadaisy hard wheat flour,
Ooh.
which is a bit harder than flour from
the store.
All-purpose flour.
But you know where your flour came from.
But I know where my flour came from, yes. So I'm going to put it in a bowl here and weigh out on the scale 318 grams, which is a ludicrously precise number. Really.
Yeah.
Why they couldn't say 320, I don't know.
No.
So I need
Because that extra 2 grams would just ruin your buns.
Probably.
As you can see, both of my parents are fans of weighing things when baking.
Yeah. That way you know what you're doing. Because they've shown from lots of experiments that measuring a cup of flour by different people results in,
in different weights.
30% differences in weight, and
Really?
everything between 3.5 and 6 ounces of flour.
Because some people sieve their flour, and some people like pack it a little bit.
That's 318 grams exactly.
Ooh.
That in food processor calls for 3/4 cup to 1 cup of lukewarm water, which I have in a cup here. Now the recipe calls for instant yeast, but during the great yeast shortage in May, all we were able to get was active dry yeast.
Yeah.
Which means we have to
Activate it.
We have to activate it. So it calls for a tablespoon of yeast. So I'm going to put in 3 teaspoons of yeast here. 1.
And you're putting that straight into your
And put that straight into the
lukewarm
water.
Because the warmth and the dampness makes the yeast do its thing.
And it can sit there. Well, it just has to dissolve. It doesn't have to do anything apart from dissolve. Then it calls for 2 tablespoons of butter.
Room temperature butter?
Yes. Okay. Because that blends best. I shall weigh up 2 tablespoons, which is about 30 grams.
Mom always does it in ounces. That a tablespoon is 3 ounces.
A tablespoon is half an ounce.
Half an ounce. There it is. That's what she says.
Or 15 grams.
Okay. So this isn't like a pastry dough where everything has to be cold.
No. No, you don't want everything cold. You want everything at room temperature.
Okay.
It calls for 1 large egg.
What do you judge as a large egg?
I judge by the box that says large.
Okay, fair.
Take that in.
And it's all just going in. You don't have to do anything fancy.
It's all just going into the food processor. It calls for 1/4 cup of sugar.
You don't have sugar out.
I didn't get the sugar out. Fortunately,
It's right there.
it's right here.
Here's one I prepared earlier.
Quarter of a cup of sugar.
But they're not sweet. The sugar just...
They're a little bit sweet.
Okay.
They're as sweet as store-bought bread.
Okay.
1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. 1 teaspoon and 1/4 of a teaspoon.
Look at this cleverly stored measuring things all in 1 cup.
You keep your measuring spoons in a mug that's been archived because it has sentimental value, so you can't throw it out, but it's no good for anything else.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Finally, the yeast. Now this hasn't dissolved yet.
Do you stir it or you just let it dissolve?
So I'm going to stir it.
Look at the weird color it turned.
I could probably get away without doing this.
Because it's been introduced to the liquid, so it should be.
Well, and it's going to be thoroughly mixed up
right.
with everything else in the food processor.
So dissolving's not that important if you're using the food processor. But if you were doing it in like your KitchenAid mixer, you'd want it to dissolve?
Yeah. Scrape out all the undissolved bits. Although again, with bread, the precise measurements aren't all that important. The precise amount of yeast isn't all that important because it grows.
Yeah, it does its thing.
Okay, so now we're going to pulse.
Okay. And what texture are we looking for in our, like they're going to turn into dough?
They turn into dough. Remember to take the lid off the center where you stored it.
Ours doesn't have a lid, so.
There. Oh.
Ew.
What, your mother processed a lid or something?
I don't think it ever came with one.
Of course it came with a lid.
Wow, look at that. Look at it turning into dough before our very eyes.
There's not enough flour in there, I can tell by looking.
Okay. Because it's too runny?
It's very soft and wet right now. I'm going to add about another. What if I
Measured wrong?
measured wrong?
No, you weighed.
I may weigh only 318 grams.
That's what you said. What was it supposed to be?
418.
Ah, there you go. So yeah.
400 grams short.
So now we're just eyeballing, and that comes from knowledge
Years
of
experience.
what it should look like. Okay. Do you need to scrape? We had some minor technical difficulties with the food processor, but we think we've got it. So back to the show. There you go. Oh yeah, it's forming into a ball. Okay. So what we think happened is that some dough got under the blade and lifted it up, and so that's why it wasn't doing this. Dad was very sad for a minute. He thought he was going to have to get a new food processor.
And that's about right.
That's good?
Yeah.
And you had to add about an extra cup of flour because of the...
Because I didn't weigh it properly the first time.
Yeah.
418 grams, not 318 grams, people.
The correct recipe will be in the description above. But as you learn, you can always add more flour. You can't take away flour, but you can add more flour.
Put too much flour, you know, a bit more liquid.
Do you have to change your ratios of like everything else though?
No, not really. No.
But the food processor was kneading it too, right?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
that's a certain needed it. You can tell by
How gummy it
sticky
is,
and
yeah.
stretchy it is. The gluten has been developed.
And the Arva flour place, they use local wheats.
They use local wheat. Well, they do several styles of flour. They do an all-purpose flour. They do a cake and pastry flour. Flour. They're all with different kinds of wheat. Right.
Ah.
The cake and pastry flour is with I believe white summer wheat, and the bread flour is with hard red winter wheat.
And that's because they have their gluten.
The protein
It's strong.
levels vary between the kinds of wheat.
Ah, well there you go. Ooh.
So now it's a bit it's stickier than I'd like, so I'm going to need it. So.
This is the part that I refuse to do and I make Mom do every time.
Why?
I don't like touching it.
Oh.
That's her reaction as well.
Don't like touching this. I guess you won't be boning the chicken anytime soon.
No, I will not. How many buns does this make?
This makes 8.
Okay.
8 3-inch buns. If you want smaller buns, you can make 12.
If you're making sliders.
Or you could probably make 16 sliders.
Oh, look, it is, yeah, very gummy.
Soft. Well, it's supposed to be a fairly soft dough.
Look at this kneading technique, folks.
Learned it from my mother.
Oh, there we go.
My mother wasn't much to cook, but she did make quite good bread.
I have fond memories of Oma's balacha soup. Balachas. And then you pinch it, and then you see how quickly the pinch disappears, right?
Yeah. This is just about ready.
Nice.
It's supposed to be fairly soft dough. Keeps the buns soft.
Get a closer look at it. Ooh, pinch it. Okay.
Yeah, that's about right.
And now we're gonna put it in a bowl.
We'll put a little bit of oil in the bowl.
Okay. So that it doesn't stick.
This says avocado oil, but it's not.
Ah!
It's actually
Olive oil?
it's actually extra light olive oil, which is my general purpose cooking oil. It has no taste.
So you're rolling the ball around in the oil.
In the oil like that to cover it with oil.
Okay.
Then we take
Our shower cap.
the bowl lid or shower cap. Now some people don't keep shower caps in the house.
But they're great for bowl lids, right?
Yes.
And you just get like shower caps at the dollar store?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you can pay for fancy bowl caps.
You can pay $5 for the thing of bowl caps in Loblaws in assorted sizes, most of which you never use.
Right? Or you could just go to the dollar store and buy 2 regular shower caps.
Yeah.
Okay, how long do we leave it rising?
This needs to rise for at least an hour.
And how many rises is it going to have?
So you let it rise for an hour,
Uh-huh.
and then you shape it into balls.
Oh, and then the balls
And then
rise.
the balls rise for about an hour, and then they bake for about 15 minutes.
Oh, nice. Okay, so we'll see you in an hour after the first rise.
Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half, and the bread has risen, which you can tell by just poking it and seeing if it kind of starts to collapse a little bit, and it stays in. It's twice the size. And sprinkle a bit of flour on the counter, just a little bit. This bread isn't sticky at all. You throw it out of the bowl, and give it a bit of knead to deflate it some. Now I need to make 8 buns from all this. The first thing I'm going to do is weigh it, and then do mental arithmetic.
Which is not our strong suit.
So this is 778 grams.
Okay.
So 8 goes into 70. 8 goes into 77 sometimes.
A few, yes, less than 11.
It should be 9.
Do you need me to get my calculator?
9 times 7 is 63, and it should be 10.
Times 7 is 70. But we need 8. 10 times 8 is...
777. So perhaps less than 100 grams each. So a little bit less than 100 grams each.
And that's good enough for us.
That's good enough for us. So I'm going to get a scraper
Okay.
here. There we go. Our dishwasher. And first I'll cut it in half. Alright, like that. See if the halves weigh about the same. 365 grams. 413 grams. I'm going to cut a bit off of that one there. Stick it on there. 399 grams. 379 grams. Half of that. 389 grams. 389 grams.
Ooh.
Okay, we're going to do that again.
Okay. So we really didn't need to do math. We just
No, we
needed to...
probably didn't really need to do math. We just keep on cutting it in half.
And making sure the halves weigh the same.
Yeah. There.
Yay!
Now, a little bit more flour on this.
So are you re-kneading them?
Now I'm shaping these into balls now. What you're trying to do is stretch it so that there's a nice
Smooth top.
kind of skin on it really. So just keep on pressing over like that to get a nice little ball. Make it round, and we take a sheet of
Pre-measured parchment paper.
pre-measured parchment paper. Put it on the tray. Put the bun on the tray. You don't even have to grease anything because the parchment paper works straight. These take maybe a minute each to do.
Okay. And you're just folding it and squishing it in underneath.
Yes, I'm just taking the sides and squishing it into the middle, pushing it in. And then you want to get it nice and round. And then when I'm done, I'll flatten all out a bit. And these are actually rising quickly. I can feel them.
You can feel it already happening.
I've formed the 8. I'm just patting them down a bit into about 3-inch buns.
And then they're going to rise.
And then they're going to rise. And it'll take, these will probably take not much more than 45 minutes or so
Okay.
to rise. They're rising already.
Do you have to cover them?
Yes. They just need to cover it so that the tops don't dry out.
Okay. It doesn't need to be like a solid seal.
No. Just keeping them from drying out.
Okay.
There.
So in 45 minutes, we'll come and look at them.
Yeah. So these are risen now. Tell by taking your finger out underneath the bottom. I want to give them a squish, and if it doesn't bounce back, it's ready. So now we're going to brush these with some melted butter. Just like that.
How thorough do you need to be?
Not too thorough. Well, you want to cover them. Now we're going to pop them in the oven, as Julia Smith would say.
At 375?
375 degrees. The oven's been preheating for about 20 minutes.
And then how long are we cooking them for?
Set the timer for 15 minutes.
And then we'll check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, these are lovely. Nicely cooked.
Oh, they smell so
They
good.
smell delicious.
Oh, look, they got connected.
Give it a little test. Something good. Yep.
Like a hollowy sound, right?
Hollow sound. We'll take them over here,
And then we brush with more butter.
which keeps the top soft.
Oh, because otherwise they get solid.
Listen. That's the crust crackling. So if you made small ones, if you wanted to make 16 slider buns, of course they take a lot less time
To cook.
to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ta-da! Here's me eating the final product. They're great for sandwiches or hamburgers. They're really fluffy and delicious, and you guys should definitely try them.